Good morning, 26th of May, it's a Saturday, 16 minutes to 11 a.m. here in Australia, and I thought I would do a market review and share with you some charts and some information and probably pretty much just a speculative perspective on what is ahead for us in this crypto blockchain marketplace. So looking back a little bit, at the moment where our market cap is around about 330 billion, it did get to a lot lower back in early April, end of March. We've seen a little bit of a bounce and there's been a bit of a retrace then. There's no doubt that the market is in a bear trend from the really, really aggressive pump that we saw throughout December of 2017. Anyone that got into the market at the beginning of December and pretty much anywhere in between there and probably now was probably feeling the pinch a little bit in regards to their portfolio, probably feeling a little bit despondent, maybe a little bit angry and disappointed, showing a little bit of anxiety, which is all part of investing in markets. And unfortunately, the thing about cryptocurrencies is that it is very, very volatile and still very, very susceptible to large energy flows or financial flows from certain investors, just due to the nature of the market cap being so small. And some people might say, well, 330 billion is not that small, but when you look at how it is just a speck on the chart in regards to the financial markets, there's no doubt that it's still got a long way to go. So I think that the market is definitely having a bit of a downtrend, no doubt about that. It's definitely a cool-off period from December. Will it continue? I think it probably could, and I do believe that it could flow over and consolidate and maybe go into a little bit of hopefully into a bit of a flat line, maybe a bit more organic growth from here, leading into maybe the back end of the year, September, November, December, and 2019, we may see some new energy. But when we look back into the past, there hasn't necessarily been two major bull runs in one particular year. Obviously, we saw that at the end of 2017. Will we see another one at the end of this year or at some stage throughout the year? Fingers crossed we will. I think it's a little bit unfair to compare the markets from, say, 2013 to now, because the industry has changed so much. There's been such a major influence on new products and technology, and there's been an evolution in the stage of the market. No doubt the market cap has gone up. We've seen that, and there's new energy, there's new media, there's new greater understanding of blockchain. There's still a lot of resistance between the financial markets or the traditional markets into blockchain, but when you go and read the news, you'll see that behind the scenes there's a lot of transitioning going on and a lot of hard work going from the traditional way of doing things and moving it over into blockchain in all sorts of different market niches as well. It is happening. Anyone that's got their blinkers on and believe that it's not happening is probably just kidding themselves. Some of the old school boys are still dissing Bitcoin. They're still dissing the whole entire marketplace for cryptocurrencies or blockchain digital assets, if you want to call them that. However, I think that they're wrong. And what I've done is I've opened up a whole heap of little images that I've grabbed out of Telegram groups and out of my Crypto Nuts Telegram group. And there's been a lot of talk going on what's actually happening. I think we can just put it down to basic, normal market cycles, and I think that's the big thing, is that everything goes on a cycle. Life is about a cycle. It's an up and down, as above, so below, frequencies and waves and all of these things. That's just how life works, and we've seen that again in this particular market. Cryptocurrencies is far from dead. And I've got a couple of pictures here, and this is actually an overlay. I'm not sure if it comes up well on your screen here, but there's actually two lines here. We've got the current market as we see it, probably up to, I think this is probably up to around about April when it was done. And when you look at the psychology of a market cycle cheat sheet, you'll see that we're in the state of anger and depression, and there would be definitely some people who are questioning themselves, saying, should have sold in December, and some people who should have probably saying, I shouldn't have bought in December, and all of these emotions that come in. First thing I could probably say, a little bit of advice, is try to just take a big deep breath and we can't change what's already happened. All we can do is learn and understand what's going on and how the actual markets work, and that comes with time and does come with a little bit of experience. There's no doubt we're getting close to the bottom, which is a good thing, because that means we're getting to an accumulation phase. There's no doubt there's still going to be some volatility, but it allows us to, I suppose, consolidate our position and look forward and keep our head down and researching on the cryptocurrencies and the digital assets that are going to change the way society operates into the future. I think last year was all hype. A lot of manipulation, a big massive pump as we saw in December. Now it's going to come down to fundamentals, and I'm really big on that. You've got to do your research on what's going to survive over the next couple of years. Now, in 2013, if we look back in the past, and I have got a couple of pictures in here. Here's another one just in regards to the reality that we're probably coming down into this despondent stage, and how long this despondent stage will last. Could be months, could be a year. I personally believe that the distance between the energy of despondency through to more hope, relief and optimism is getting shorter, because I do believe that blockchain is, and the transition from traditional markets to blockchain is speeding up. We're going to see some regulations, we're going to see some major investors or major institutional money definitely come into the market over the next couple of years. It's, there's no doubt there's probably going to be a level of maturity as we go up this S-curve of the entire market. And that could take 10, 20, 30 years, no doubt. But there's still this early adoption stage where, due to the size of the market cap and due to the energy and all of these factors coming in, I do believe that we're going to see another bull run of some sort over the next 12 months, leading into the 18 months, hopefully a lot shorter than that, due to the nature that I do believe that the big boys want to roll out digital currencies and move away from cash a little bit faster than we realise. And I think 2021, I know that in Australia they're looking at even starting next year, they're really pulling back on cash. And we've already seen tested in India where they took out the top two major notes, and I think you'll see that over the next 2 years there's going to be a major push towards that type of ideology. And the only way they can do that is to advertise and provide and create more faith and confidence in the cryptocurrency market. So I still believe there will be a lot more manipulation to create positive energy, to get more and more millennials and more of the normal society, or a higher percentage of the population, over into digital assets. And like I said, that can only happen with energy, and it has to be more positive than negative. So, fingers crossed we're going to see it. Now, I did this very quick graph on my phone, and it is a comparison between pretty much the back end of 2014. I've circled 2013 here, but it's actually 2014 and 2018 with the two big major bull runs that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. Now, there's no doubt that after a major run, as we saw in December, there's going to be a cool-off period now. But how long does the market take to cool off? In the past, it's been a year, up to 2 years, with obviously some volatility and some ups and downs. And people who wanted to trade within that time would have probably had some connection with the market. But as you saw here, there was definitely a consolidation phase. And the second arrow is pretty much where we are here right now. Are we going to see this little dip and consolidation again? It's highly possible, and I think it could be 1, 2, 3, 6 months. Maybe it will lead into 2019, 2019. But in the back of my mind, I do believe that distance that we saw in 2015-16 is going to get shorter. As I said, I think there's going to be a major push, and there's no doubt that the market has matured. There's a lot more products coming out. We know EOS is going on mainnet the end of this month. We know that Tron is. There's a lot more relationships and a lot more partnerships building, a lot more apps and applications, and there's no doubt every day there's more and more people coming into the market. So there's a lot more positive than negative in regards to influence and new money. So like I said, let's be more positive about what's going to happen. I do believe that all we're going to see is a greater opportunity for consolidation and accumulation. Now, with consensus, and I'll talk about cycles, in the past, 2015, 2016, this was just a matter of interest, really. I think a lot of people expected consensus to swing the market around and create a lot more positive energy. But the big thing that I have noticed is that even though individual coins have their own ecosystem, their own energy, their own communities, and their own stage of maturity in regards to products and release and good news and bad news, I see that the entire market, due to the size of the market and due to the big players being a major influence, there's no doubt the overall market plays the major role in the trend, whether it's a bull or a bear, or whether or not it's actually going flatline or sideways. So even though we've had a lot of positive news over the last since December, in a lot of ways the overall bear trend has really dug its claws in, and that has affected the way the consensus charting in regards to, I suppose, the positive energy we've seen over the last 3 years. It didn't really happen this year. But when you look at the charts and you have a look at the history, it took 20, 30, 40, 50 days after consensus until we saw another bear trend. And when you look at this graph here, it's probably fairly logical to say that there's no doubt there's going to be a consolidation, and then it's going to show a little bit more positivity in the next couple of months. I mean, we've already had a major downturn, so it's no doubt it's going to consolidate at some stage. But that's the art of reading cycles. I think people got it wrong this year in regards to how positive consensus would be on the market, and that comes down to the reality that the overall market and the size of the caps are dictating how the market plays. I've got a couple of charts here, and this is about being positive. Then someone's done a comparison of 2016 and 2018, and again, market cycles you can read charts in regards to how energy flows in and out of particular markets, whether it's an overall market or a particular coin based on news, etc., etc. Again, this is an overall Bitcoin chart, a comparison between 2016 and 2018, and it shows a very, very similar type of flow of energy. And obviously back in 2016 we saw a major run in Bitcoin. Now, are we going to see another run with Bitcoin? I think it could go either way, and I've got a little chart and some information which I'll share with you at the moment. But if we're going to be positive, let's fingers crossed and let's hope, and we'll hope for a bit more of a positive next 2 or 3 months. And like I said, let's assume that if 2021 is a deadline for the global elite new world order agenda of transitioning from one financial market to the new digital market, then there's no doubt we're going to see upside. It's not going to just flatline the entire time or descend if they want this market to actually stick. Now, here's another little interpretation, or it is another comparison between 2016 and 2018. There's no doubt there's more positivity to come after maybe another month, 2 months of, like I said, volatility. The market's never going to remove the volatility. We know that until the market cap gets into the trillions, it has to probably get into multiple trillions before we see the volatility percentages reduce, and that's just normal markets. So, what's going to happen with Bitcoin? I don't totally know. I think something came out in the news about some investigations into the manipulation of Bitcoin. Where is that happening? There could be some collusion in regards to the actual exchanges, and I do believe there's a little bit of that going on, because when you look at some of the decentralized exchanges, they don't move the same as, say, a Bittrex and Binance does. There's no doubt they're working together, whether it's through algorithms or Autobots or through communication, trying to remove arbitrage or something like that. There's a lot of Autobots in the space. There's a lot of algorithms running in the background, and I think there's no doubt that some major players are moving Bitcoin in and out to play probably the futures markets as well, as we saw that happening. I think the news in regards to investigating Bitcoin, I think that's just, the big boys are all in. It's one big club. I don't believe that's going to be happening. That's just probably to distract everyone and to remove some of the emotional energy, because people have noticed that Bitcoin is being played. There's no doubt. Anyone that's been watching the charts will know that it's not as organic as it looks. So, what's going to happen? Bitcoin could go down below 7,000 US dollars, and it might hit a $5,000 mark. That would probably happen very, very quickly over a couple of days, over a week, if it does happen. That's the fear and uncertainty and doubt that's in this market. I don't necessarily believe that that's going to happen. I do believe that Bitcoin's in a little bit more demand, and I think, like I said, I think there's more energy is going to keep coming into the space. Therefore, Bitcoin and some of the major market caps are going to continue to show energy and growth, and so hopefully we see a bit more of a positive rise through Bitcoin over the next few months. And all I really want is probably some organic growth. If you look at this chart of December, it's very, very depressing. Trying to emotionally stay stable, but if you're going to do a basic chart across the bottom here, there is a median and mean average that's looking very, very positive. No doubt this could come down a little bit more after that bounce, or the suckers rally, as I like to call it, after the December run. And there's going to be a flattening off of the market at some stage. That's very, very normal. That's what I'm actually looking for. When it goes sideways for a while with a little bit of organic growth, I think we can all calm down and just seek to accumulate our favourite cryptos and our favourite digital assets based on the fundamentals, and it gives us a little bit more time. And I do think that's the positive side of all of this. We've still got more time to accumulate and do what we need to do to build our wealth, because I do believe this is the biggest transfer of wealth in history. A lot of other people thought it would just be a market collapse and then gold and silver would go through the roof. I've got some gold and silver as part of my diversification. I still do buy and stack it. I do believe you do have to diversify into physical assets, so I am a big advocate for that. However, I do believe this is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime to get into the bottom of an S-curve of probably I think this is it. This is the biggest transfer of traditional markets to the digital markets that we'll ever see, and I think it's going to be very, very fast. Have a look at what happened in 2017. I think it's only going to get faster leading into 2020, 2021, 2025. These are dates that do circulate around, and I think there's no doubt that a lot of the infrastructure into regards to digital assets will want to be in place by 2021. And I think there's going to be online banking, and we've seen a lot of exchanges now upgrading. There's a lot of infrastructure already in place, so it's only going to exponential from here. So getting in and buying at the bottom of these markets is the key, and that takes a lot of patience and research. I'm not giving financial advice, but I think it's worth looking into if you want to put a little bit of money into something that's going to exponential over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and maybe it'll be a nice little nest egg of some sort. And I know that some people have already got that because they have shown the due diligence to research this market, in the previous years. So, positive signs, I do believe. Naysayers continue to maintain that cryptocurrencies are dead, but the truth is that we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. This rapidly growing industry is far from dead or declining. It is just experiencing a few growing pains along the way. With due time, many of these projects will begin to release working products and services that will help facilitate the world or wide-scale adoption of cryptocurrencies and related technologies. And I agree 100% with this statement. There is no doubt that the platforms and the infrastructure is being put in place. A lot of the cryptocurrencies and a lot of the digital assets are coming out with their process. Like I said, even with, you've got EOS coming out at the end of this month. It's going to really, really support a whole heap of new decentralized applications onto an amazingly fast platform, and it's just going to continue to grow from here. And if people talk about FUD, and they show a lot of fear. All they're talking about is market cycles. It's really easy to say here at the top of December, wow, cryptocurrencies are so amazing, I've made $1 million, and then 3 months later we're all sitting here saying cryptocurrencies are dead. What's happened to the market? It's called market cycles, okay? And I think you just need to go and get your head around all of that. Zoom out. That's my biggest advice in regards to the charts. Don't look at things over a day or a week. Don't necessarily go by just the news. At the moment, I still believe if you want to make really good, bold decisions on whether to get into and out of cryptocurrencies and as a whole, in regards to your whole portfolio, I think you've got to look at the entire global chart and the market capitalisation. No doubt in line with the really important news, and I think we're talking about the platforms and regulations. There's no doubt a lot of the smaller cryptocurrencies, the smaller platforms will show little moments of influence as communities invest in their favourites based on news and developments and evolutions of their products. But again, I do believe that the whole entire market capital or the market influence or the market trend is going to dictate how the individual coins perform. So, but again, it's a cycle. So positive stuff. Keep your hat on, keep your helmet on. I think throughout the end of this year, I think we'll see a accumulation, a flattening off, some little bit more organic growth, fingers crossed. Maybe a little bit more of a horrible period over the next few weeks, another month, could be up, down. Let's hope it just swings around. Let's just all be positive, and that it swings around towards a really good 2019. I believe that we will see something again in December. There's no doubt that the big companies know that they can make a little bit of extra money towards tax. It has happened the last 5 years in a row where we've seen December do quite well. A big sell-off in January, early January, the first 12 days. If you go and have a look at the charts, there was a massive pullback. We saw it again this year. This is obviously the biggest of all of them because we hit an all-time high. Will we see it again? I do believe that some market cycles do stick. Like I said, with consensus, it obviously broke the norm this year, but I don't think consensus was big enough to change the influence of the major bear trend we saw in December because it was so massive. And that's just the reality of cycles, and you've got to look at that. And it's all about percentages and knowing your numbers and having a look at it from a logical point of view and a zoomed out point of view. That's all I got. Hopefully that added some value and some positive energy to your perspective on the space. I think we've still got a long way to go in regards to the S-curve, so good signs. Thanks for watching, guys, and let me know what you think of this one in the comments on my Steam and on YouTube, and tune in to my next video. Thanks.